Hello guys, today we will be talking about Hoolay. You got to hit Hoolay where it hurts him, but this is actually all you need to know about him. He's very fast, that means he does a lot of attacks. We want to be really fast and weakness break him ASAP, and that's it. That's all you really need to know about him. But if we go into a bit of a detailed explanation, this is how he works. He is the fastest enemy in the whole game, and he even gets faster and faster after he uses some attacks. He has two states. He has a normal state and a moon rage state. In his normal state, he can get up to 6 stacks, which he gets 1 stack every time an enemy attacks. So if he attacks, he gets a stack. If a wolf of him attacks, he gets a stack. And if he gets 6 stacks, he goes into the Super Saiyan mode, which is the moon rage state. And in this moon rage state, we share a pool of points, specifically 8 points. So if you assume we have 4 points and he has 4 points, which you can see with the blue one, which is our points, and the red one, which is his points. If we do an attack, we get 1 point and he loses 1 point. So then the counter would go from 4-4 to 5-3. And he gets 1 stack when he attacks or any of his wolves attack. But sometimes he gets 2 stacks, due to a special attack he does sometimes. And like I said, we share a pool of 8 points. So if he gets 8 points, he does the super killing ult attack to one ally. And then we get 8 points and he loses all of his points. But if we got those 8 points by attacking him a lot of times, then the points reset to 4-4. That is what I noticed. Maybe it doesn't happen all the time, but sometimes that happened. And if we weakness break him when he's in this moon rage state, he loses his moon rage state and we can try to kill him ASAP. And I don't even mind the small wolves he sometimes calls, because the main focus is Hoolay and you want to kill him ASAP. So you want to use these characters against him. Characters who do a lot of attacks, so you get that point advantage against him when he's in his moon rage state. Elemental matching characters, so you can weakness break him ASAP, so he gets out of his moon rage state, if he is in one. And of course, if we weakness break him, we get this MOC stack. And the third best thing is, if we use characters who want to be attacked. So let's go over it. Hoolay has physical, fire and wind weakness, like we know. The problem is, in this part of the MOC, the first wave, no one has physical weakness. So if we use a physical DPS character, then clearing the first wave will take quite a lot of time. And that is why fire and wind DPS characters are preferred. But anyway, let's go through the physical characters. First of all, Sushang. She is theoretically an amazing character against Hoolay since she is really fast, and when she uses her ult, she gets 100% action forwarded and can do another attack. But since she is a 4-star character, and like I said, the first wave doesn't have any physical weak characters, she might not be the best option. And that's the same case with Boothill. Getting his 3 stacks is like really difficult. He will be useless in the first wave. But if he is against Hoolay, he can get his 3 stacks, but still a lot of issues. Because Boothill sure can implant physical weakness against the enemies in the first wave. But then you really need to try to kill them when they have physical weakness. If you can't kill them when they have this physical weakness, it will take a longer and longer time. So he's quite inconsistent and it might be difficult to do. And if you manage to clear the first wave with Boothill, against Hoolay, he is quite easy and great actually, because those small wolves all have a physical weakness, so you can get the Boothill stacks really fast if you didn't manage to get it the first wave. Since in the first wave, if you implant on each enemy the physical weakness, you can get 2 stacks if you manage to one-shot them if you had the weakness broken them. But it's a bit too inconsistent, so I don't recommend Boothill in this case. But Yunli and Clara are actually great against Hoolay, since Hoolay is so really fast and he summons these small wolves, resulting in Yunli and Clara doing a lot of rope attacks. And since Clara and Yunli aren't dependent on the weakness type that much, they can clear the first wave way easier compared to Boothill. But still, the first wave, the enemies aren't that fast, and there are just 2 elite monsters. And this lady elite monster doesn't even attack that often. Sometimes she goes into this state like you need to attack her 9 times or something. Which means the gorilla is the only one who can help Clara and Yunli do their rope attacks. But still way easier than Boothill. But of course if Yunli and Clara have like a broken build, you can easily use them. And Yunli can one-shot those elite monsters way easier compared to Clara. So if you get a broken ass Yunli, just use her. Raw dog the first wave, and against Hoolay you will have no problem. And now, the fire type DPSs we can use. First of all, we got Firefly, because Firefly gets this insane speed buff when he's in her Super Saiyan mode. Firefly can easily weakness break Hoolay very fast. But if you use the Firefly in the first node, so the other part, you can't use her in this part. Or you used Akron in the first node and you decide to use Firefly in this node, then it's alright of course. So Firefly will have an easy time, but her team won't have that of an easy time because Hoolay does have imaginary weakness and Firefly is really dependent on imaginary MC. So imaginary MC's skill won't literally do anything. The only useful thing of imaginary MC would be her ult. So that is one thing that could be problematic. But yeah, if you use a Firefly with Ron, May and Gallagher, you will have a way easier time to weakness break Hoolay. But still it might be difficult. Since Firefly is so dependent on breaking the enemy's weakness. And breaking the enemy's weakness is so much easier with imaginary MC, her skill. But even though if you just manage to weakness break Hoolay once, you can easily one-shot him. And we got Topaz. And Topaz is obviously amazing against Hoolay. Single target damage, she does a lot of attacks. So she's a perfect pick against Hoolay. So now the wind DPSs. Blade is actually the only one who matches the 3 criteria on who to pick against Hoolay. Since Hoolay does a lot of attacks resulting in Blade getting hit quite a lot of time if he gets hit. Resulting in Blade follow-up attacking. So Blade wants to get attacked. And if you just go Speedy Gonzalez Blade, he can do a lot of attacks. But the problem is, Blade does so little damage compared to everyone else. Like he's still waiting for that one character to get him to the next level. And I personally really struggled with using Blade against Hoolay because his damage is just so lacking, which is quite unfortunate. But if you can do better with Blade against Hoolay, be my guest, do it. But I personally just couldn't manage to get it done in a reasonable amount of cycles. And we got a 4-star Dong Heng. He might work actually if you got like a cracked Dong Heng. You want to level his trace to 10, 10, 10. And that will cost you like 6 of those golden balls. And I personally wouldn't want to do that. But if you did max his traces, then you could use him. Why not? It's just that 4-star DPSs are so lacking in damage compared to the 5-star DPSs. Which brings us to the 5-star wind DPS, Feixiao. Which is like perfectly made for Hoolay. Like everything Feixiao wants in her team is a counter against Hoolay. Because she wants characters who do a lot of attacks and who are very fast. Which results in Feixiao getting a lot of stacks. Since every time an ally attacks, Feixiao gets a stack. Which is a counter against Hoolay's point system. So it's like a perfect story counter, Feixiao against Hoolay. Feixiao dominates him. And apart from the physical, fire and the wind type DPSs, there are other sub DPSs which can use against Hoolay. Like for example, Imaginary March 7th. Since if you make, for example, Feixiao or anyone who has the same type as Hoolay, the Shifu, March 7 will have the same damage type as the Shifu. So she's an amazing pick as a sub DPS. And of course, Mose is also amazing, since he does a lot of attacks. But Hoolay doesn't have lightning weakness, but even though he does so many attacks, you can like easily ignore that fact. And we got Ratio 2 of course, he does a lot of attacks too with his follow-ups. But he's quite skill point hungry compared to Mose and Imaginary March 7th. So I wouldn't pick him personally. And now the debuffers. You really need to think about how you want to build and use your debuffers against Hoolay, since Hoolay is, like I said, the fastest enemy there is, which makes keeping up the uptime of the debuffs way harder. Since debuffs on an enemy go away after X turn of the enemy's turn. And since Hoolay is so fast, he gets a turn after turn after turn, so your debuffers need to be really fast too, to keep their debuffs on him. So you want to make sure your debuffers do a lot of attacks. Which means that if you want to use debuffers, I would recommend to use the Eagle set on them. Since when they use their ult, which is in most cases with debuffers their main, most important debuff, that their action gets forwarded. So that they can do another attack, get their energy up way faster, so that they can get their ult way faster. And of course always use an energy rope on them. But out of all the debuffers you could use against Hoolay, which are Silver Wolf, Pella, Black Swan, Zhao or Guinevere, The best one is, I'd say, Jiao. Since Jiao is a fire character, Hoolay has fire weakness, and Jiao's debuffs with the vulnerability and increase the ultimate damage is like so great with the teammates you will use him with, which hopefully will be Feixiao. Or you could even raw dog it with an Akuro and a Jiao team. And another thing with the boss enemies like Hoolay is their HP bar. When you break their HP bar, all the debuffs on them get removed, which is quite a pain in the ass. So personally, I wouldn't recommend using debuffers, since keeping the uptime of the debuffs on the enemy would be quite a hassle. And I don't really think many people have built an eagle set, especially not an eagle set for their debuffers, with the effect hit rate and attack percentage and speed, because the eagle set is like mostly used with DPSs. So you most likely have like more crit rate or crit damage substats and those debuff substats. So I wouldn't recommend using debuffers, but buffers. And I specifically recommend buffers who benefit by being fast. And with that I mean, when it's their turn, so they are fast, they get a lot of turns, that they help in weakness breaking Hoolay faster. And those are of course buffers who have the same element type as Hoolay. So theoretically, Asta would be an amazing buffer. Since 1, she makes everyone in your team go Speedy Gonzalez with her ult, everyone gets a lot of speed. And 2, when Asta gets a turn, you can just use her skill, and if you are lucky, all her bounces will go onto Hoolay, making it easier to weakness break him. But the thing is, all those small wolves don't have fire weakness. So if those bounces don't go into Hoolay, but onto the small wolves, you have wasted your skill. Which makes her unfortunately quite inconsistent. But theoretically, if you look at all the points, when it's her turn, she can do something useful, like weakness breaking Hoolay faster, she makes everyone in your team faster, which makes it easier to win that point battle with Hoolay. But yeah, like I said, unfortunately, those small wolves can mess up your wall bouncing off your skill. Which brings us to the second character, which theoretically also great against Hoolay, which is Hanya. Since 1, Hanya's ult makes an ally really fast, which means you can do more attacks with that DPS, resulting in getting more points with that point battle and weakness breaking Hoolay faster. And her skill regenerates skill points and does physical type damage, which makes weakness breaking him also easier. So Hanya is quite a good option actually. But all of that doesn't actually even matter, unfortunately, since you can just use Ruan-Mei. Sure, she doesn't get a benefit when it's her turn. It's actually bad when it's her turn, since her skill loses stack and her ult loses stack when it's her turn. So Ruan-Mei doesn't actually benefit from being fast. And totally not against Hoolay, who doesn't even have ice weakness. But Ruan-Mei's buffs like her weakness break efficiency and her damage buffs are so broken, you can just ignore that wall Hoolay mechanic. Which is the same case with Robin. She doesn't benefit from being fast. She doesn't even attack Hoolay. But the thing is, her ult gives everyone a turn, which like ignores all those criteria. That good is Robin against Hoolay. You just pop Robin's ult, everyone gets another turn, you weakness break his ass, and you're good to go. And now the sustainers. There are 3 specific sustainers which are great against Hoolay. Those are sustainers who do a lot of attacks, who benefit from being attacked, and or can weakness break Hoolay fast. So we got Lingsha. She does a lot of attacks, which means she can weakness break Hoolay very fast. Sure, she doesn't benefit from being attacked, but the follow-up attack from her bunny is like so great against Hoolay. It makes it way easier to weakness break him and win that point battle. We got Aventurin. He doesn't have the same element type as Hoolay. He's imaginary. But he benefits from being attacked, and since Hoolay does a lot of AoE attacks, you can get a lot of stacks, which results in Aventurin doing many follow-up attacks, which means winning that point battle with Hoolay is a bit easier, and Aventurin is so broken, you don't even have to stress about sustaining. And we got Gallagher. He does a lot of attacks and has the same element type as Hoolay, but he doesn't benefit from being attacked by Hoolay, of course. And how does he do a lot of attacks? That's because of his ult. So when you cast his ult, he gets 100% action forward, which means you can do another attack with him. And if you have him E6, that enhanced basic attack after you have to use his ult gets increased weakness break efficiency. Which means weakness breaking Hoolay is way easier with him. But yeah, that's only if you have him E6. But even though if you don't have him E6, he's still a great pick. So, knowing all of this, what are the best teams against Hoolay? Well, those are obviously Feixiao teams. And those are teams like Feixiao, Robin, Imaginary March 7th, and Lingsha. Or Feixiao, Bronya, Imaginary March 7th, and Lingsha, or whoever sustainer. Just one of those 3 sustainers are a great pick, so Gallagher, Lingsha, or Aventurin. So Feixiao teams, story-wise, are the best pick against Hoolay, since her whole team mechanic is like a counter against Hoolay. Or if you don't have Feixiao, but have, for example, Acheron, you can just try to raw dog Hoolay. Just use a standard Acheron team. And for example, use a Acheron, Jiao, Silverwolf, Aventurin, Gallagher, or Lingsha team. Or Acheron, Pella, Silverwolf, and any of those sustainers. But that's only if you can raw dog him to death with your damage. So weakness breaking him might be a little bit difficult. Or you need to get lucky with your Silverwolf if you use Silverwolf with your Acheron. And hope that the Silverwolf implants lightning weakness on Hoolay. But that might be quite a difficult team to work with. Or you just go with your Blade team or your Yun Li team. I just gave you some recommendations on which characters are a bit good against him. Just try to mix and match however you want anyone with whatever character you got. Maybe you gotta do a lot of tries because you didn't get lucky, or enemy X did not attack ally Y, which resulted in ally Y not getting enough energy to just cast her ult in time because blah blah blah. Just use whichever characters you got. These are just some characters I thought of that could work good against Hoolay. And you might have noticed I didn't mention any dot teams. Since dot teams are lacking a bit too much in damage, maybe you could go with a Black Swan, Sampo, Ho-Ho, Ruan Mei team against Hoolay. Maybe that could work, but it might take quite a long time to kill him, since dot teams really don't do that much damage compared to those meta teams. If Hoolay had like wind and lightning weakness, you could easily go with your Kafka, Black Swan, Ruan Mei team. Then you wouldn't have any issues. But dot teams are just that neglected, you know. And I don't even have Black Swan or Kafka, so I can't even test with them. But if you can manage to kill Hoolay with your dot teams, that's amazing. You just gotta do whatever works for you. And of course, what worked for me was just the standard Feixiao meta team with Imaginary March 7th, Aventurin, and Robin. That's the team I used to kill Hoolay. And it was just really easy, first try. That good is Feixiao against Hoolay actually. And she better be that broken Feixiao, because I did a pull for every push-up I did when summoning for her. So if you are interested in how that went, have a look at this video, and I thank you for your time and see you next time. Bye.